So I saw the Make a Flag challenge and I thought I'd have a go. And it looks like a child's made it. If you want to find out how I made it, keep watching. Firstly, I rooted around in a pile of old furniture board that I had. It's made from pine, some of it's warped, and I needed to find a piece that could fit the flag on it and also wasn't warped or had too many holes, and I wanted to keep it free of knots. Eventually I settled on a piece that was big enough to get the flag, and I suddenly remembered I'd need a backboard as well. I removed two battens from it that had been holding up shelves previously and began to mark out where I would cut. It was getting quite late at night when I started this. Kids were in bed, wife was watching TV, so power tools weren't an option, so I began the laborious task of beginning to remove the varnish. The next day, with dust extraction on, thankfully, I began to use a power sander to remove anything remaining. With that done, I had to redo the lines that I'd sanded away. I did it with a knife to make sure they were nice and clear, and also to maybe prevent any tear out that could happen. Then came out the trusty Parkside track saw, which is not a lot of fun to use in a 2x2 area. That's 2 meters. But it did the job. Thankfully the boards were created and I set about making sure they would fit. I had to trim my flag template a little bit to size, and then I glued it on using some of the kids' glue. I got out my scroll saw, and then many cuts later I had a stack of pieces ready to go. After this came the fun and dustiest part, to use the belt and disc sander to actually make the pieces the shape they were supposed to be, rather than the shapes I actually cut out on the scroll saw. Did I say this was dusty? I really need to get something that fits the port for extraction. I laid out everything as it would need to go, and then I pointlessly began to number them all. I say pointlessly because I managed to paint over the numbers later on, and that was pointless. Then I set about the next utterly pointless task of drilling dowel holes in all the pieces. It seemed like a good idea to use dowels because I'd be fixing them straight onto a surface that had been finished with hard wax. I was pretty sure glue wouldn't hold it on. But as we see later when I tried to fit it, everything started to fall apart and the dowels broke the smaller pieces. Oops. I gave the bottom board a final sanding to remove any burrs from the drilling and to get it ready to accept the finish, which was going to be a white hard wax oil from Osmo. Applying any Osmo project is simple, which kind of makes up for the cost. However, the coverage was a bit blotchy. I blame myself for not removing the finish enough from when it was a desk previously. And for some reason I decided to use a t-shirt scrap to apply it this time. I normally use a scouring pad, which is simple. It just made it take ages. Putting that to one side to dry, I then decided to hand sand off all the flag template pieces from the individual pieces by hand. Why did I not do this on the belt sander earlier? Following that, I did the final hand sanding through 80 grit to 120 and 220, ready for the pieces to get their red and blue. I also added a small bevel to each of the corners. After a brief tidy and hoover, I got the red Osmo ready, gave it a good squish and applied it liberally. I did the same for the blue, but for some reason this came out really blotchy. Again, I'm not sure why. I think probably to do with the previous finish. I'm going to gloss over the final assembly because it It wasn't much fun to watch. Pieces started to snap. I painted over the numbers and none of the holes lined up. So in the end, it's kind of held together with super glue. I'm going to see if I can put a top coat of varnish over the top of it, which may help hold the little pieces in place better. Anyway, that's the final piece. I hope you like it. Actually, I don't hope you like it. I hate it. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Goodbye.